Whether or not the audience likes a movie probably depends most on their expectations. In the end, from Super Mario Bros. Movie, Despicable Me 4, Venom, The Last Dance, to Warner Bros.' latest work, a Minecraft movie, all consistently receive two distinct streams of opinion. Those who analyze films with a rational, logical perspective are likely to consider them terrible in every aspect. However, there are also quite a few people who argue that one shouldn't look for artistic intent in an entertainment-focused work. Therefore, to gain a deeper perspective on a Minecraft movie, a prime example of the current trend of fast food filmmaking, today, let's review the film from two different expectation levels, which are humorously referred to online as watching with your brain on and watching with your brain off. Adapted from one of the 100 most famous games in history, the film opens with the character Steve, played by comedian Jack Black, sharing that he has a deep passion for mines. One day, while mining, he accidentally discovers a cube called the Orb of Dominance, encased in an outer shell known as the Earth Crystal. When he combines the two together, a mysterious portal suddenly appears. Taking a risk, he steps into the space within the blue light, and before Steve's eyes unfolds a vast world built entirely from cubes. Here, everything from earth, dead rocks, trees, mountain ranges, and pandas, to even zombies, all take the form of square blocks, freely interacting and crafting items according to his creativity. Steve lives inside the overworld, building an entire kingdom of his own. That is, until he accidentally discovers a portal leading to the Nether, a hellish realm ruled by bloodthirsty piglins. These pigs are obsessed with gold and relentlessly pursue Steve to obtain the Orb of Dominance. Imprisoned in the Nether, 86 Emambound, Steve has no choice but to ask his dog Dennis to hide the cube, and the story suddenly shifts to four other characters: siblings Henry and Natalie, real estate agent Dawn, and the washed-up gamer Garrett, nicknamed Trashman. After a series of accidental events, they also manage to enter the overworld, reunite with Steve, and join forces to fight against the piglins. First of all, the weakness that we can immediately notice lies right in the opening scene. For some unclear reason, right from the very start, the film feels quite rushed, condensing Steve's overworld adventure into a summary that crams in a lot of information about the world. On top of that, it also takes on the role of introducing the villain Magosa and the motives of the Piglin army. Like a 10-minute-long trailer, but Steve introduces himself in one scene, and in the very next, he suddenly becomes a master builder without any explanation. Not only that, at an equally rushed pace, the film suddenly shifts to focus on four brand new characters who have nothing to do with the guy in the blue shirt. It's not hard to see that this opening is heavily influenced by Steven Spielberg's film Ready Player One. In that movie, the player Parzival also narrates almost everything viewers need to know about the world of Oasis. However, the difference between the two versions lies in the fact that Parzival is a seasoned player. As for Steve, no matter how much he tries to fast forward his learning process, he only managed to dig up the Orb of Dominance 5 minutes ago. The most obvious consequence is a rather shallow tour of the overworld since the guide himself hasn't been introduced in a convincing way. While watching, we're forced to come up with two hypotheses. Either Minecraft is so easy that Steve can dance to the music while building a massive amusement park with all sorts of materials, none of which we know how he found. Or secondly, he's a genius player. Unfortunately, regardless of which case it is, the film's level of intrigue has already been affected. The opening scene alone already highlights a core issue, which is the direction the screenwriters chose to approach the original game. Although it's repeatedly mentioned as a work that celebrates creativity, I find that the most memorable thing is actually the pair of nunchucks Garrett made for comedic effect. As for the rest, almost all the equipment had already been discovered by Steve before the adventure even began. He just needs to rummage through his chest and introduce things. Oh, no, here's the diamond armor, here's the sword, here are the villagers, here's redstone. Meanwhile, the audience and the other four characters get to see very little of how the actual creative process unfolds. I've wondered why the film doesn't invest in real adventures for characters who start from scratch, just like the way millions of players first experience Minecraft. The now viral line, "First we mine, then we craft," isn't really shown properly, when Steve, like Doraemon the robotic cat, just hands out gadgets to the supporting characters to instantly solve any problem. Therefore, if you look closely, this isn't a matter of whether the film is for entertainment or for academia. The real question isn't whether the audience should overlook logical inconsistencies, but rather the direction the filmmakers have chosen and the consequences that come with it. The screenwriters of a Minecraft movie chose the path of least effort, minimizing all challenges and covering them up with humor, thinking that being funny alone would suffice, and in doing so, wasted an entire area of potential in the middle, where the characters should have actually put in the effort to research and craft some kind of equipment. Now think about it for a moment. How much time did the characters in the movie actually spend learning about the knowledge of the overworld, the world they had just set foot in? And isn't exploration and discovery always what makes Minecraft so special? Shortcuts are also what we see in the way the film portrays the Fantastic Foursome as the ones who save the world. We have little brother Henry, who's Izu, as a mini version of Steve, given a genius brain just so he can quickly become a pro player. His sister Natalie is just as impressive. By only the second night she can walk around chatting while fighting zombies with a hoe. And finally, there's the character Dawn, for whom I honestly can't find any other reason to be there, except to fill out the team lineup. As you can see, it's all a result of how the story is handled. When the overworld doesn't present any worthy challenges, the characters have no room to shine, so they're left to throw in some jokes as they leisurely make their way to the end. So, when it all wraps up, everything is forced into a message reminiscent of Ready Player One. It's true that the virtual world offers a lot of freedom, but it's time to return to reality and deal with our own problems. And it's a reasonable message, though, but the way it's delivered leaves no real impact. All in all, it's not hard to see the laziness within a Minecraft movie, even though it's rather cleverly masked by the unique acting talent of comedian Jack Black. With a shallow world, a weak script, and forgettable characters, I wouldn't be surprised if the film gets mentioned in a few categories at this year's Golden Raspberry Awards. And honestly, it truly deserves at least one award. The review above might upset some viewers, but I think it's necessary to frankly assess the quality of films like Minecraft. As promised, in the next part, we'll try following the producer's instructions exactly. Let's lower our expectations to the minimum, raise our tolerance to the maximum, and see if there's any joy to be found in the film's 1 hour and 40 minutes. First, there's something you should know about director Jared Hess. He always chooses unusual characters, if not outright silly ones. That's why his 2003 film was Napoleon Dynamite. Even though I didn't particularly like it, I still remember it for a long time because the main character was so bizarre that he became memorable. There are also such oddballs in Minecraft, but most notably the character Garrett, who serves as the main source of comedy. This washed-up gamer is like a long-lost member of the Fast and Furious family, possessing both muscles and an uncanny ability to survive explosions. He cracks a lot of jokes, and even though they're not that great, I still found myself laughing, thanks to Jason Momoa's charming performance. In particular, this kind of silly humor actually makes sense when you think about it, given the shallow characters in Minecraft, allowing us to find entertainment even in the film's massive plot holes. Could it be, as some viewers have speculated, that Jared Hess intentionally set out to make a bad movie? That we don't know. The only thing is, I actually laughed, and I also heard quite a few other people laughing too. It's absurd, nonsensical, and perhaps that's exactly where American filmmakers excel the most. As someone who has stopped playing games for quite a long time, it would be dishonest to say that Minecraft didn't evoke any sense of nostalgia, especially when sitting in a theater where more than half the audience are fans. The swords, the blocky trees, and the houses are all brought to the screen in a visually appealing way. In particular, the movements of the zombies and skeletons are also quite lively. Sometimes you can even see a grumpy expression on their faces. The film also caters to those who have played the game by including details like using a bucket of water to break a fall, cooking chicken with lava, or in the overworld, where the day-night cycle lasts only 20 minutes. They remind me a lot of my memories with Minecraft back when I was still in school, and also make me suddenly realize that when playing, everyone has probably wandered around building some silly structures. So, could it be that the characters are acting just like the viewers who have played the game before? This thought, at least for me personally, makes the film somewhat more endearing. There was a pretty interesting comment I read, which said that a Minecraft movie feels like it was made by a kid who spends all day glued to an iPad playing Minecraft. So, though, whether you find moments of comfort in it or not, probably depends on your perspective, of that kid. As for me personally, the most fitting description of a Minecraft movie is that it's like a sightseeing train ride across the surface of the overworld, superficial, but redeemed by nostalgic scenery and amusing fellow passengers. Ultimately, every viewer has the right to love or hate a movie based on their own feelings and expectations. There's nothing wrong with expecting a worthy adaptation from a brand that champions creativity like Minecraft, but it's also important to acknowledge that the film's success is largely due to how easy it is to watch, how pleasant it feels, and how easily it makes you laugh. Minecraft is certainly a prime example of polarized opinions, especially since it targets a younger audience. However, we also need to remember that studios themselves are fully aware of how forgiving audiences can be if they see a large enough fan base, even when they only produce mediocre products. Next time, Warner Brothers might even greenlight scripts that are worse than Minecraft. Why bother putting effort into creating a sophisticated work when customers are so quick to compromise, right? The consequences hardly need to be mentioned again. It's the fact that live action adaptations are steadily declining in quality over time. In particular, Minecraft has literally struck a diamond mine, as recently, many theaters in the US have been troubled by the overly intense reactions from audiences. That's right, I'm talking about the memes embedded in the movie, and if you search on YouTube, you'll find plenty of young kids and teenagers shouting with excitement when they see familiar icons and catchphrases brought to the big screen. Of course, there are also some truly meaningful Easter eggs, such as the tribute to YouTuber Technoblade, but this only makes the concern more valid, as producers have realized that all they need to do is insert whatever is currently viral on the internet, regardless of whether it's necessary for the film or not, and they can still receive an overwhelmingly positive response. The role of the audience is certainly extremely important. As for myself, I have no right to tell you how you should watch a movie, because cinema, aside from being an art form, is also a source of spiritual nourishment for everyone. So, perhaps the most reasonable approach to this issue is to let each viewer make their own judgment. And those are Fei-Fim's thoughts on a Minecraft movie. The film is on track to become the biggest blockbuster of 2025. If you have any opinions, please leave them in the comment section, so we can discuss together. For now, goodbye and enjoy the movie. By Deputy, then Teacher Nguyen. Now, change floor, now. Chow must develop the disease, the children, and the narrow bow.